And I hope it's a legacy for my kids and grandkids. And I hope my grandkids come out there. I hope that they have the pleasure of bringing their families together and experiencing each other and enjoying each other. I hope it continues that way. And I believe that we added something to the Dripping Springs community that wasn't there. This is a little bit unique and different. So.
Welcome to the Sold on Drip podcast, your ultimate destination for all things Dripping Springs. I am your host, Bill Cafferetta, and we are here to celebrate what makes this town the best place to live in the Texas Hill Country. It's amazing people. Join us as we sit down with local residents and business owners to hear their stories, learn why they love this community, and are proud to call it home. We will be spotlighting their businesses, find out why they choose to serve the people of Dripping Springs, and dive into the local events that bring our community together. Our finger is always on the pulse, and we will be keeping you informed about how our rapid growth and development is impacting our schools, resources, and the local real estate market. Whether you're a lifelong resident or you have just discovered Dripping Springs, you will soon know why we are all sold on drip. Thanks for joining and enjoy this episode. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Sold on Drip podcast. I'm your host, Bill Cafferetta, and today I have the pleasure of introducing and interviewing David Jones from Camp David Retreat here in Dripping Springs. It's an amazing venue. He's done absolutely wonderful things to this property. I was just out there last week meeting with David and touring with him and Wendy, and you can check this out, and I highly recommend looking at it on your computer, not just your phone, because there's some amazing aerial shots of the property at campdavidretreat.com. But welcome, David. We're so excited to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's dive right in and just kind of learn a little bit about, we're going to get into the property and all the wonderful things you have going on here, but let's talk about David Jones. Who is David Jones, and what's kind of your story of what got you to where you are and what brought you to Dripping Springs?
Okay, well, I'm just a humble little a farm boy from Louisiana. I grew up there, went to school there, went to college. Louisiana, moved to Texas in 1972, I believe, and have been here since then. I started my career mostly in Corpus Christi, Texas, and moved up here in 1997. My kids were going to school up here, going to college up here, so me and my wife decided to move up here, and we love it. I live in Dripping Springs, on a ranch. It's about 60 acres. It has our house is on top of a hill overlooking long views and almost 365-degree air around the ranch. I started Camp David. I bought the property in September 2021. It was a residence. And saw the potential of doing something differently at the location, and so started cleaning up and changing and reorganizing and redeveloping. And about a year ago, we completed. So it took about a year of construction, and we started. This is 2023 is our first full year in progress. And what we have out there is really an amazing family venue. It is that's our primary booking profile. It's the families. It has so much to do for the whole family, from the senior down to the grandkids. We have pickleball. We have 3 pickleball courts. We have basketball courts, volleyball courts. We have nature trails. We have nature trails with the obstacle course. We have a swimming pool, hot tub, and so we're in the 1st of November. It's hot tub is getting really popular again. We have the big oversized porch sitting on the edge of a canyon overlooking a view to the west and towards the sunset. That's probably maybe all the way to Pernell State Park, unobstructed, no houses. It's nice and quiet. We have a main lodge that can sleep 12 people, and a cowboy bunkhouse sleeps 16. And if you take a look at campdavid.com. We have amazing videos and drones and pictures of the property that pretty well tell you everything's there. We've got a big old fireplace sitting on the edge of the cliff. That's probably about 11 feet in diameter, enough for 15 chairs around it. And so we finished it, and we started booking people primarily that were attending weddings. So the bride's
Well,
family.
David, I want to pause you for a second because I think we skipped over a pretty important part of this whole story, which I found fascinating.
Okay.
It's how you actually acquired the property and how you kind of stumbled into it, and it wound up just being a little tip from your wife. We hope you're enjoying this episode of the Sold on Drip podcast. We want to interrupt just for 1 minute to talk about an event that we have coming up here with CAF Group in November. It's going to be on Small Business Saturday, and that is the Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend. And it is our Meet Us at Santa Station NICU fundraiser. This is our third annual event, and it benefits local NICU families and nurses. And what we do is we have Santa Claus come out with a real bearded Santa. We get professional photos done with Mercedes Morgan photography, and it's just going to be a really great event. We're going to have Santa photos, raffles, giveaways, Bloody Buddy, Bloody Marys, and the opportunity for you to get those Santa photos done here in town without having to go to the mall. We'll have them back to you in time for your Christmas cards, and you'll be able to get those out. So we hope to see you on Saturday, November 25th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it is at the station on Mercer, directly across the street from Mazama. And you can learn more and reserve your free tickets at cafgroup.com/Santa. We'll see you there on Small Business Saturday.
Yeah, well, that is an interesting story. So my background is commercial brokering and appraising. And over that period of time, I've seen a lot of property bought and redeveloped. And I was always amazed at the vision that the purchaser had and what they saw and how they developed it. And so I got some clues from that. So what happened is there was a guy, his name was Sean, and he had Rover Inn. It was a kennel, it was a dog kennel. And so Sean would come get our dogs in his little minivan and pick them up, which is great because I have big dogs, and put them in the van, take them off. And then we would call him when we got back in town, and he would bring them back. And it's really simple. So one day my wife said, and my wife had known him longer than I have, she said, Sean said he was going to sell his place, and that she said, I think you should go out and look at it, because I'd never seen it, but she had. So I went out there, and it was, so the bunkhouse now was actually a kennel. We stripped it down to the foundation and the exterior walls. We took the roof off, and we added bathrooms to the side. So we expanded it, reconstructed it, and but the first thing that I saw when I went out there was just an amazing view from the lodge, from the back porch of the lodge. I mean, it's just so hill country. It's on the edge of a cliff with a canyon that dips down through there, and then the view just opens up from there. And so I thought, this has potential. I'm gonna have to think about this. So we first bought it very first, and so maybe it's a long-term rental. And then I thought, well, I've got to do so many changes here that I don't think the numbers will work for a long-term rental. So then we started thinking of other things to do. And we actually did not have a blueprint when we started. My contractor is a family friend, and he's also an architect, and he has a lot of vision. And so we was getting ideas from him. We would get ideas from some of the craftspeople that worked there. We get ideas from other people that I knew in the real estate profession. And we said, well, what's popular? Well, let's put in a pickleball court. Well, we want to have a pickleball tournament, so let's expand that and have more than one court. My granddaughter said, hey, she played volleyball at Westlake, and she goes, Grandpa Dave, you need a volleyball court. You need to make it sand. And I said, okay, let's do that.
Especially in this town.
And my kids, they go, Dad, you're going to have a vacation rental. You need a swimming pool. I go, man, I just don't want to spend the money on it. Oh, you've got to have one. And, we wouldn't go there and stay if we didn't have one. We only stay where there's, in the hot part of the summer, especially where there's a pool. So we kept developing, and my wife added, like, you should put the pool over on this side to spread it out. And, we just listened to everyone and sort of developed a overall picture. And so really you took a residential house with a dog kennel and made it Camp David. And it's awesome. It's a great family retreat. And so I hope I added to the vision, and I hope it's a legacy for my kids and grandkids. And I hope my grandkids come out there, even as they grow up and I'm have passed away or something. And I hope that they have, the pleasure of bringing their families together and experiencing each other and enjoying each other. And I hope it continues that way. And I hope, and I believe that we added something to the Dripping Springs community that wasn't there. We have a lot of wedding venues, have nice wedding venues. We have a lot of casitas. We have a lot of VRBO and Airbnb type of properties, but this is a little bit unique and different. So
it's very unique. And the first thing I said to you when I walked out there, and I hadn't even seen the whole property yet, was you cannot explain this place in pictures. You just have to go there. You have to see it. And it's when you said, that it's a perfect example of the hill country. When you walk in, you come in the driveway and you have all the fun stuff up in front with the pickleball and the volleyball. But when you walk into that lodge, it's nice, very clean, but still old. It still has the old charm of a home in the hill country. It wasn't gutted, and it wasn't made white, and it wasn't just completely done modern. It still looks like a home that belongs in the hill country. It's got the wood, it's got the look, it's got the feel. And that kitchen, is massive. And I think that was an important thing that you did, was kept this true to itself. So it doesn't just look like your everyday Airbnb or a house that jumps out of a magazine or the social media that's just, white cabinets, white everything, and sterile. It has that vibe that you're looking for in the hill country.
Yes, it doesn't feel really comfortable. It's high quality, but it's really comfortable.
Exactly.
It's the comments I get. Yeah.
Yeah, it has that comfort feel, and that's what you want when you're out here. You don't come to the hill country, I can go, stay at the Four Seasons if I want something that's going to be that sterile feeling, but this one's nice. And the deck, that back porch is just unbelievable. What did you say it was? 16 feet wide and like 110 feet long. It's absolutely massive.
Yes, it's massive. And when we started, the previous owner had a small a porch. I imagine it may have been 10 or 12 by 12, and it sat there. And so when we took it down, our contractors and the workers said, what do you want to put here? Because we didn't even have a plan. I want it to go from here to here. And they go, how far is that? And I said, I don't know, but I want it big. I want it really big, because I think this is the focal point. Sitting here on this ledge overlooking the hill country, quiet, can't hear a car.
You wanted that deck. You wanted that deck to be 10,000 screws big.
Yeah, the contractors, I invited them to the open house when we had it, and they were talking about it, and they said, David, we counted the boxes and started doing the math, and we have over 10,000 screws in this porch in the pergola. So, and that, bless their hearts, they were out there in the hottest part of the summer with the sun on the west side, and they're just, and they just kept at it. So I was proud of them.
And that's a nice piece too. So it's not just the deck, but and the porch area, but it has a great pergola. It's got the mister fans. And it really, even though it's the west sun and it's going to be hot in the afternoon, you've really found a way to break that up and cool that down so you can enjoy that and really get a good look at that sunset. It's almost kind of gives me vibes. I mean, everybody goes to the Oasis over on Lake Travis for the views, and you have that right here in Dripping Springs.
Yeah, that's what we were hoping for.
So we were able to take a look at that, and then right off of that's the pool. The backyard is just amazing. And what I really liked is how you used all 11 acres. You didn't just make this the house, the lodge, and the bunkhouse, but you really spread out and have some hidden amenities down behind that. What's going on down there? There's some obstacle courses and some other things.
Yeah, well, let me back up on that. So I grew up in a rural Louisiana farm community, and my mother had nine brothers and sisters, and my father had 7 brothers and sisters. And when the families got together, it was usually out in the country because most of us were country folks, and we had a lot of room to play as kids, and we would go off and do our things and, chase each other around and hide from each other and find toys that were just rudimentary things that and we would just, get exhausted, and the families, the older people, they would be cooking together and sharing recipes and laughing and talking and joking and telling stories on each other, and while the kids were out doing their thing. And so that was sort of my vision. And I go, okay, we got nearly 11 acres here, and a lot of the people that will come here probably live in town in regular subdivision lot, which I've had plenty of those. I own plenty of those myself. I want to allow them to have the experience of what it's like out here in this cedar and oak thicket. And so the property sort of slopes down in the center and comes back up, and it's sort of a rocky formation. And so I built the first nature trail, and I sort of call it the mom and pop because it's pretty easy. I made it pretty wide. The trees are sort of like a canopy as you cut it out. I think it has about a 40-foot elevation drop from the front to the back and then back up. And, it's maybe a 15 or 20-minute walk, which is nice and easy. But from there, the same entrance, I cut another trail that zigzagged through the bottom of the canyon. And you got logs to cross, and it's a little more narrow, and it drops off, I think, over 100 feet and back up. And so you huff and puff a little bit with that, and it's a little more challenging, and it's probably more like 20 minutes if you stroll it, 25 minutes. And then I put a third one in, and we sort of got this from, again, our guests and some of the contractors and our friends, is we made an obstacle course out of that. So you start off and you have either a rope climb or a cargo net climb, and then the next obstacle are logs that you have to go down, and then the next one is there's logs like you see the guys that are the football players that have the tires that they step across, and then we have a board climb that's sort of an A-frame. You climb up, and we put cedar mulch all around it and made it safe. But you climb up and you have this huge view. You can see over the trees, and then you climb back down. And then we have something like a monkey bar, and it winds on down, and it's really pretty tough. In some places you have to duck and move. And then we have like a parallel bar, and then you head back up that dude, and you're weaving and bobbing and climbing, and it's a pretty good workout. So it's fun. It's more for the super athletes. So we made it the whole property. I wanted to make the whole property accessible. I know a lot of locations they'll have maybe they say it's 20 acres, but you use 2 acres or something like that. And I just wanted to make it fun and available for everyone, city kids and country kids. So I think we did that.
So it sounds like it might be a little bit tough for if you wanted to do like the aunts and uncles versus the cousins event. Those cousins may have a little bit of an advantage on that.
Yeah. They're have to separate and do something. And we thought about figuring out how to put some kind of timer on that where we had post like I have have a board posted the best time
Oh, that's cool.
make it competitive, but we haven't really figured out how to do
Wait,
that
but
yet.
yeah, I mean, you gotta break that one down by age though. You gotta have like
Yeah,
your like
exactly.
30 and over, 50 and over.
Yeah,
It wouldn't be fair.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that you've thought of all the things. It's really been, I really enjoyed my time out there, and you know, you all have thought of everything. There's so many things that can go on there, and the lodge itself is, I mean, what'd you say that sleeps about 12.
right.
It's really, really nice. I mean, you have two huge refrigerators in there, massive kitchen. I mean,
Yeah,
you can really do some things in there. And then that bunkhouse, when you think of a bunkhouse, you kind of know what to expect, right? But when we walked in there, I mean, that has its own kitchen, has two bathrooms, and then it's the bougiest bunkhouse I've ever seen. I mean, you got a bamboo ceiling, you got the bunks, and it's fantastic. I mean, I really was blown away when I saw that.
yeah. And as a footnote, we do have guests that just say, well, we don't want the whole property. We would like the lodge. And we have some people just want the bunkhouse. It's a cowboy bunkhouse. It's really neat. Our very first guest was a lady who was she was the bridesmaid at a wedding in Lakeway, and she and her entourage, I'll call it, came in and they just wanted the bunkhouse. They wanted experience of sort of like a slumber party. And so the bunkhouse, the sleeping portion, the sleeping room, is one open room with beds on each side. But we left the center, and we put a ping pong table and a foosball table there. And our thought, and it has happened so far, is at the end of the day when the kids are, if they're not totally exhausted, they come in and sort of wind down. Well, they can still do some activity until they're ready to fall asleep. And I'll tell you one story that one of our guests, I went out there to check on a mechanical issue and to make sure it was fixed and stayed fixed. And I called the guest and said, "Can I come out?" And they said, "Sure." So I went out there and I was talking to a guy, and he goes, I said, "How is it going? How are you liking it?" He said, "Oh, we love it." He said, "You know, the best thing about it," he said, "our kids stayed up, and we have the sports courts lit up. You can turn the lights on and play in the evenings." And he said, "Our kids played here all day and did all these things, and in the evening, I think they were out there at 4 o'clock in the morning." He said, "They weren't making noise, and we were checking on them, but we let them play." And he said the best thing about that, the next morning they were in the bunkhouse sleeping till 10, 11 o'clock. And we were out on the back porch drinking coffee and quiet and having our discussions. So it sort of worked out best for them like that. So it worked out just like we thought it would.
We almost forget you have a cell phone out there. I mean, it's just there's so much to do,
Yeah.
and I mean it's basically grown up summer camp.
Yeah. And that's another, and I forgot to say that the guy said, we haven't seen our kids on the cell phone once since they've been out here. And it's like, that's perfect. In fact, we even have, we set up a little box to encourage that. It says, place your phone here or drop your phone here. So we have a place everybody puts their cell phone there, or can anyway, if they want to. So
The beauty of this retreat over at Camp David is that this isn't where you're going to just go, with your small group. This is meant for the big family. This is meant for the family to have the extended family come, and grandma and grandpa
right.
and cousins and the aunts and uncles, and that's kind of the gap that you filled here, because a lot of the Airbnb properties or VRBO properties that we have here are smaller and you could fit a few people, but this one is, I mean, I haven't seen anything of this size that could fit the entire family with all the cousins and be comfortable, and not even realize there's that many people there.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me too to see, like last Thanksgiving, uh, the people that stayed there. It was just sort of like you envision a family get together. Everybody started off in the kitchen cooking and sampling and talking and sharing recipes, and then they made the meal, put the spread out on the porch, which there's plenty of room. Everybody got there, and they were still talking and chatting and enjoying each other and enjoying the meal. Then after the meal, started breaking off, and the kids went out to play on the courts, and the adults, sort of cleaned up everything. And then I could see like sisters who hadn't seen each other. And I was part of this group. I saw sisters that hadn't seen each other for a while, and they would sort of break off into a corner over there, and they would just be chatting and catching up. And, the guys were over here doing something and talking, maybe on the rocking chair or the swing, and they were catching up, and the kids were out getting to know each other better. So it was just like it sort of duplicated how I grew up. And that wasn't my total vision at all when I bought it, but as I developed it, that became my vision. And to see it come true and see how much people enjoy it is just a real pleasure to me. I'm glad to have done it, and I'm glad to be able to offer this to the not only Dripping Springs community, but even wider, but especially Dripping Springs and Hill Country.
Well, and you've hosted some out-of-the-box events there as well, not just families that are coming in. You've had some different networking events and some other things, some community-wide events. So what are some of those that y'all have done and something that might be coming up?
Well, I think the very first thing, we had a sword making guy came out, and they actually, for kids, and they made swords, real live swords.
Real metal swords?
Yeah, right. And they cast them in a sand, a mold and stuff like that. And I didn't go to that, but I understand it was really fun. And Wendy went to it, and she has 2 kids. She's my manager. And she was telling me all about it. And then we had a pickleball tournament. We had 45 players came in, and we had some vendors, come up and set up, their shop there. And then we had a food truck, because we have a station for a food truck. It's got a 50 amp connection, and it's a lot quieter than having a generator, right? If you have electricity. So we had a food truck there, and then I had personally, from my professional career as a real estate appraiser and broker, I had what I call a bankers convention. It was more like, as an appraiser, you have new rules and regulations come in on appraising, and we were catching our good clients up on, here's the latest thing, and here's what to expect, and here's what our property values are moving, and this is what to expect in the next 6 months or a year. And so we had that. We've had some just social events out there. The other day I had a group there. He's a missionary, and it was a fundraising event. We're having the Dripping Springs Library come out and do a fundraiser. We've had the chamber come out for a social event, and we've had I think a women's professional group of Dripping Springs come out, use the property, and there's probably more that I can't think of right now, but that so we sort of offer it, and we had a stargazing event set for last week, and it got too cloudy, and we couldn't do it. But it's reset, and we have actually an astronomer, retired, and he's coming out to set a telescope up. It's dark skies out there, so it's a perfect place. And he says, I think he said Venus, or no, Saturn, I think he said, was real prominent right now. And so we have events like that. We had a women's prayer group that came out and rented the property for three days. So we have a variety of people that use it, and different ideas. It's our sweet spot is really the families, but there are a lot of other people that have already rented the property and used it. So that helps.
Those professional events are great, even if it's just the one night, because for you, just getting people on property, and that's what we talked about trying to run. We're going to be starting the Sunset Connect networking monthly meetings here, and we want to do one in Austin, but we also want to do one in the Hill Country. And this
is the perfect venue for that, being that you get that sunset and you get that vibe and that deck. I mean, there's just so much you can do out there. And if you're looking, you're in the Dripping Springs area and you need an area for a lot of people to congregate for the evening or whatever it might be, this is a great place for you to do it, and to be able to get out there and be outside and have that true hill country feel, and just have everything kind of right there for you.
Yeah, I know when we had the bankers convention out there, one of the bankers, came up to me at a break and he goes, "Man, I appreciate this. I appreciate you putting this on and giving us the information." He said, "But what I really like about it, it's not a stuffy classroom somewhere. He said, you're out here, you feel the fresh air, and I think it was like in the mid-spring of this past year. So the temperature was perfect. It was dead silent, except for us, and being outside, it's a lot better than a classroom, right?"
What about are y'all booked yet for the eclipse next year?
We're not booked yet. So if anyone listening to this wants to do that, or knows somebody that wants to come down and do that, we've had some people ask about it, but we have not booked it yet. But I'm not worried about it. I think it's supply and demand, and I think most of the other venues have been rented up, and they've been here longer, and they've been out there longer. But I know that we will be booked.
And that makes me kind of segue and think about the whole experiences piece too, because that's another thing that we talked about, is that you can create packages for people that are looking to do individual experiences. I know we talked about you might be having something for the Super Bowl.
Yes.
The eclipse is another opportunity to do something like that. What do those look like?
So the Super Bowl, for example, we want to offer a package for say the Super Bowl, and then we will furnish, some maybe barbecue, beer, or we will have vendors that we recommend that can do that. And so we want to add so on the special events and occasions, we want to sort of tailor our offer to include things that are appropriate for that venue at that time. And so the eclipse, we're going to have T-shirts, and we're going to have the glasses, and some other things. But we do that. It's not always just plain Jane, just like you get it and you have to do all this stuff. We sort of enhance that experience, and we try to use, and we do have our vendor list, our preferred vendor list. We take care of Dripping Springs vendors and retailers and merchants and professionals first. So we recommend those. And if they're going to, if they want to do it themselves, we have the list. If they don't want to, or they want us to do it, that's an option. And another thing we're going to do too, and we haven't set it up, so if you're listening and you know someone, we want to get a youth director or a camp director. And so our theory is to partner up with like a tour guide that can take people around to see, their breweries and wineries and a lot of points of interest in Dripping Springs. So say we offer the option that if the parents want to leave the kids with all this amazing things to do, but they want to supervise, then we'll have a camp director, and the camp director can watch them and direct them, and the parents can go off and do their thing and then come back in the evening. And my vision is the kids are worn out. The parents are happy, they've been out drinking wine and beer or whatever, and they all come back, and then they join up as a family again and do their evening thing, whatever that is, catering or cooking, and then so that's sort of my vision. So we have things like that. And if you're listening to this podcast and you've got ideas, we love ideas. We take them and we think about them, and if they're we all vote on them and see how what we think about them.
Well, we were there, and one of my first thoughts was, this is absolutely perfect just for a camp of some sort, whether it's during the week or on the weekend, and whether it's sports or just team building or ministry, or it could even be a team building event for a corporate company to go out there for a few days, and everyone's staying in the bunks and really it lends itself to so many opportunities. My gears are really spinning the whole time we were there. When you get sports teams out there, but it could be, there's so many things. And with the pickleball and volleyball and the trails and the pool, it's just an opportunity to be outside, just enjoy yourself and the people that you're with.
Yeah, and also, and I've talked to some of my companies that that are my clients, and about coming out for events, holiday events or special events or team building and all that. And the thing about it, you have a bunkhouse and you have a main house. So if you wanted to split it up between men and women or whatever, men could take the bunkhouse, women could take the lodge and all that. So if you're out there and it would be too much of a drive to go back home that evening, that you have an option to stay there that night. And, so I haven't had anyone take me up on that yet, but that's an option that we're putting out there.
So overall, I mean, this is year one. I think 23 was a huge success for you guys.
23, 23 is a startup year. So startup year, you're just getting traction. We've done better than I thought we would. My first vision is we're going to do really well, and then the reality of the things have slowed a little bit, and it have slowed. All the people that are in this kind of business or related businesses have had a slower year, but I think we did better than I thought we would at one point, and so I think we're going to end the year pretty okay, And next year we'll have. We've talked to so many people and had so many people out there. I think next year will be, a much stronger year.
And that's the point I was going to make. And I said earlier, you have to see this place to understand it. There's always networking events and things happening out there. I know you guys are involved with the Wedding Capital of Texas and the Chamber, but it's also the opportunity too, and correct me if I'm wrong, if somebody is looking to do an event, you do have the opportunity for tours, and they can go meet Wendy out there and kind of go see the property to see what they can do for an event that they're looking to host or family coming into town.
Yeah, not last weekend, the weekend before, we had a wedding out there. So we've had a lot of different kind of events, and I think that is sort of a unique quality about Camp David Retreat, is that it is very versatile. It's not just weddings. It's not just overnight staying. It's not just a day events. It's a combination of things that you can do with it, and just let it be your home away from home. I mean, it is like, if you define the hill country, that would be it. That area. In fact, I think either Wendy or Kathy they were talking to somebody from out of town, I think it was Houston or whatever, and they were like, now, where is Dripping Springs? And she was telling her, and she said, and Wendy said, or Kathy said, well, it's in the edge of the hill country. Oh, the hill country. So, everybody knows about the hill country. And this is the epitome of the hill country. And the sunsets are amazing. And by the way, if you're listening too, we have set up a live cam on our back porch facing west at the sunset. So you can go on our website and look for that link, and you can see what the weather is and see what the sunset looks like. And many days, if there's any clouds at all, the sunsets are amazing. They just turn, the clouds turn red and pink and, orange and fade away and all that. It's really outstanding.
I haven't seen a sunset, and the day we were there, it was raining a little bit, but I can't wait to come out and be able to actually see that sunset, because I mean, the sunsets that we get here in Texas and the hill country are outstanding. And I live in a subdivision, like you were talking about, where you don't even have views, but at sunset time, which is unbelievable. So just being able to see what we're going to see there is incredible. But David, thank you so much for coming on, and I want to make sure that we hit on all the high points or anything that we missed that you want to tell the listeners about regarding this property.
I think we covered it. Again, I think that families are fragmenting your kids and even us as adults. We're on our phone and we're someplace in a restaurant and we should be talking to our spouses or our kids or something, and we're on the phone. I mean, it's just the way we are. And so I think we're just as a society and as families, we're fragmenting. You want to bring your family together. You want to create some memories. You want to be able to talk to that aunt, uncle, nephew, grandfather, whatever, and without distractions. And just and plus you have so much to do. Come take a look at us at Camp David. Go to campdavid.com first if you want to, but you'll get an image. But like you said, Bill, you really need to come out there. And we're out there all the time. I live about 10 miles away, and I can go out there. I'd love to go out there anyway. I can go out there and show you the property, or Wendy can, or Kathy can. So look us up, but come see us too.
Yeah, get on site, go take a look at it, and just let once you see it, you'll get the idea. I mean, the pickleball tournament, things you can do is just like, yeah, it's a unique property. But yeah, David, thank you so much for your time the other day when we came by and toured, and again for today. I know I'm excited to get back out there, and there's a couple of things that we've talked about that will get some wheels in motion and just get a lot of people out to that property.
Thank you, Bill. I enjoyed the conversation.
You're welcome, and I hope everybody enjoyed this episode of Sold on Drip.
Thank you for listening to the Sold on Drip podcast. Please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes. If you would like to connect, learn more about Dripping Springs, or have any questions regarding Central Texas real estate, you can find me at soldondrip.com or on Instagram at Bill Cafferetta. I hope to see you around town.